All right, so everyone, this is a special edition of the Level 1 podcast. I'm going to have my first ever guest, KEEMSTAR. It's going to be interesting. We're going to have a civil conversation, and I don't know how it's going to go. But, we've each had it with each other back and forth quite a while on the internet. And I feel like this is a good first step towards having a real conversation rather than yelling at each other from our various perspectives of our content, right? So let's see how this goes. All right. And go from there. So first things first, I want to make sure that I don't accidentally reveal any information or anything, which would be pretty fucked up if I did. So let me do this just to make sure there's nothing on the screen. I believe my microphone is working on Discord. It looks like it is. So I'm going to try to get Keem on here right now and see what happens. Hold on. Can't fucking see. Okay, I think I invited him to the call.
Hey, what's going on?
Keem, what's going on? Let me get you on screen here. There we are. What the hell is this? Fucking pop up. Let me get rid of that shit. There we are. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I was listening to the stream before I joined, and you said, hey, we're not going to deal with Keem Hate. He's a guest here. And now it makes more sense to me why you were so upset with Sidescrollers, right? Is if you're a guest on a show, your philosophy is like you should be treated as such.
Right. I mean, you're giving me your time to be on the show today. And by the way, you're the very first guest ever on my podcast in like 3 years I've been doing this. That's to be respected and to be grateful for, right? And the way that they conducted themselves was, I feel, well, first of all, actually, I know we're going to talk about Sidescrollers in a second. I actually have something I want to say to you before we even start, okay? Because I feel like I want to preface this whole conversation with something. All right? I saw your response to my response, so we're responding to each other in our own content, right? We're finally going to get to have a conversation man-to-man today, and I'm really appreciative of that. In your response, you basically said the reason you apologized to me is because you felt like you were being a hater, that you saw that I'm kind of a little bit on the rise now, I'm having a redemption arc, and you felt like even though you think I might squander it because I have a track record of doing the wrong thing and squandering stuff, that you don't want to crap on that moment, right? And I want to say to you, number one, I appreciate that because I didn't expect that from you. But when you said that, it made me think as well about myself. And I know for a fact that before you ever even like mentioned me, I had mentioned you in a negative way in my content. All right. So in reality, I'm the one who kind of started any kind of bad blood between us because for the last 10 years, I've basically been hated on so badly by these detractors that I couldn't really get a foothold in anything positive. I kind of had to hide on my channel just broadcasting for my audience. And I didn't have opportunity to really do the things that everyone else around me was getting to do. I couldn't do a collab because my detractors would go harass the person I wanted to collab with, so they get talked out of it. I couldn't go on a podcast because all people would want to do is talk about insulting shit about me. So that being said, I want to, before we even begin, I want to apologize to you, Keem, because I feel like I'm the reason why all the bad blood actually started, because to be publicly admitting this, I'm jealous that you are as successful as you are. I feel like at one point I had a good thing going and it got taken away from me because of a series of bad circumstances, a lot of which are my fault. And I shouldn't be crapping on you just because you found a way to be successful in your own way. I may not agree with the way that you've become successful. It's like a moral thing or a philosophical thing on my end that I disagree with some of the things you say and do. But that doesn't give me the right to then totally dump on you. I was a hater of yours long before you hated on me. So I just wanted to get that out there. It's my fault that we kind of started the bad blood, and I am sorry for that.
I appreciate that. I very much appreciate that because you're right. I mean, that's kind of how it started. I didn't have a personal beef with you at all, but as someone who is a drama merchant like myself, if somebody like yourself starts swinging at me, okay, well, now I can make a Twitter video. Now I can make a response to this. That's always kind of been my game to not run away from drama, but to embrace it and, make content out of whatever's being argued, right?
Right.
So yeah, I do appreciate that. That makes sense. And I think to the outer world, the people that aren't really paying attention to you with a magnifying glass, there's a lot of misconceptions, right? Like when you're out there and you're saying, I don't like drama, and most people don't believe that when they hear you say that, right? But I think it's true. I think it's genuinely true. You want to have positive content. You don't want to go back and forth with someone. But maybe now you're realizing it is smart to call out certain bad actors. It is kind of smart to like kick back to other people and get your point across, even though it might be drama. You know, usually progress in the end happens because there was a fight, there was a debate, and ultimately everyone settled on a decision in the end, right?
Right. And you know what? Being through 10 years of harassment, abuse by these detractors. I'm not saying everyone else on the internet that watched the detractor content and commented on it. I'm talking about these crazy detractor people. There is a large group of people who can be clapped back at. And I think that now what's been going on with Duty this week, Duty streams, people are seeing that now happen and unfold in the public eye. And they're like, oh shit, Bill actually said something and that got other people to look at it. And now this is all happening. Because you're right. I don't want to be involved endlessly in a drama sphere of people attacking each other and being at each other's throats. That's not the kind of content that I've ever wanted to make on YouTube. But it's kind of hard to not get involved when after 10 years of being abused, people have such bad misconceptions of me. And I think that it is time to maybe start focusing in on certain individuals who have been the worst bad actors in all these situations.
Yeah, real quick, the chat is saying that I have bad audio. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, I don't know.
Does it sound bad to you?
It sounds a little, how can I say, like a little mechanical almost.
Let me
turn a little blown out.
I'm going to turn mine down on my end, and then if you right click on me on Discord, you can either turn me up or turn me down.
Gotcha.
Like right click right on my face.
There you are. And all right, turned you up a little bit.
Is that better?
Is that better, everyone? Sounds a little better, right?
Okay, yeah, they're saying it's way better.
Cool.
All right. I forgot where we were in the conversation. But yeah, ultimately, you do have to pick your battles, and some battles you absolutely you need to take. Like the thing that just happened with Duty and calling him out, right?
Right.
You know, there are certain people that are just stealing your content, and they're not adding commentary, and they're not the good guys in the scenario. Regardless of what you think of DSP, they are the bad guys. They're stealing content and uploading it. And that doesn't just go against DSP. That goes against the entire, you know, online entertainment sphere. There isn't a single creator that would support what Duty's doing. No one would, you know?
Yeah, we know the rules. We've been in the game for a while, and we know what goes and what doesn't go. Listen, originally, over 10 years ago, when people started that "this is how you don't play" series about me, that was actually fair game, and I responded poorly because we didn't know kind of the rules back then. You're talking over a decade ago, what's allowed, what's not. But now we know, as long as you're making a transformative work, you're making your own content, you're commentating on it, you're criticizing something, you're cutting it up so it doesn't represent just a straight copy-paste job, it's fine. But what some of these people are doing is just like I was just saying this right before you got on, Keem. These people broadcast as you're broadcasting, and they're clipping and they're uploading it to their channels before you even finish your broadcast. So how am I supposed to have a chance to make a buck on my own work when you already have people watching it on demand on your channels with no commentary or anything? It's absolutely not acceptable on YouTube. It's not only against partner program rules, it's against the law. It's against DMCA law. You cannot do that. You really think you could take a movie like Avengers Endgame and just cut 30 minutes out of it and put it on your channel and put it, this movie sucks? Can't do that.
You can't do that. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and this whole thing with Duty, I didn't want to have to do it, but you know, you get to a point where it gets so bad and people are telling me this guy is literally now bragging, like he is bragging on his channel that he made $5,000 last month on ad revenue, and it's literally all of your content just on his channel sitting there. And I was like, you know what? Now that I actually have a little bit of clout, now that people are watching my content for the first time in ages, I'm going to say something. And man, did it take off. In less than a week already, this guy got blown up. Like, everyone knows what's going on. And, you know, I mean, I guess from what I'm to understand, he got demonetized today, which I
Yep.
again I have nothing to do with it. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know how to report a channel or anything like that. But that's what happens when you're breaking the rules, and then you finally get the camera turned back on you rather than you're looking at everyone else making money off of them. When it gets turned back on you, you better be ready to be in the firing line. And I don't think that these people are. I think they've had it good for a decade, and now they're, oh shit, wait, now I can't just do whatever I want anymore. And I'm just going to forewarn other detractors too. There's some out there that are doing the same thing Duty did. You got to be careful now, because now I get the feeling there's going to be people coming after everyone because he was the first and you saw what happened. So, you know, do commentary. It's easy.
I think I'm indirectly involved with him getting demonetized. So basically, I was listening to him fight with you and listen to him like basically saying that he's doing nothing wrong. And as someone who's like an expert in this space, it just drove me nuts. So I tried to call into his show and give him advice, but he wanted to do the blood sports thing and interrupt me and talk over me and spin a narrative. And it's like, bro, what are you doing? I was like, all right, well, let's agree to report your channel to YouTube and have them review it and see what happened. No, don't do that. It's like, okay, you're admitting that you're in the wrong, right? So I never did that. I never reported him to YouTube. But what happened is I then on Lolcow Live reviewed the me and Duty debate or whatever and talked about it further. And that stream on Lolcow Live actually got dinged for bullying and harassment. We got a warning strike. So I had to call YouTube and say, hey, can you review this? Because I don't think I should have that warning strike, right? And as they're reviewing it, because they need more context of what I was saying about Duty, they're hearing me say, hey, look, you're in violation, Duty, of copyright. You're in violation of the YouTube partnership program. You're in violation of TOS. So I think maybe indirectly, YouTube's reviewing Lolcow Live. They're hearing the context, and then they're like, wait, what's going on with this Duty stuff? And I think that's how he got dinged. So I actually called Duty earlier today, and I apologized to him and told him, like, hey, this is what I think what happened. I wouldn't have ever reported you without your permission, but I think this was how it all played out. So me and Duty are cool now. He doesn't blame me, but he understands the circumstances.
Yeah, it's funny because this is all for me, as you know, I've been basically shat on for again a decade, and only like this month have people kind of started with positivity again. And all of a sudden, people listening to what I have to say and stuff. And it's funny because for 10 years, people like Review Tech USA and my detractors have literally crapped on me on a daily basis. I never took action against them, right? I didn't strike their videos. I didn't give them community strikes. Oh, you're bullying me and shit like that. But now all of a sudden, it's like a karma thing. Like it's coming back on them. Like Review Tech, I didn't do a damn thing. And this guy's life's falling apart. His streams are falling apart. It was going to happen eventually if you just keep with that kind of, I don't know, you're beating up on the little guy. I feel like it's going to come back to bite you. First it was Review Tech, now it's Duty. And, I think, sadly, I hate to say it, these people got to be careful because now the eye is on them and it might continue. But I won't be involved. I'll be making content on my channel. You know what I mean? I don't want anything to do with it.
I didn't know enough about Rich's background, right? But then at the same time, I've been involved in so many battles with him throughout the years that I just forgot about until I watched an exposed video on him. And I was like, oh yeah, I did call him out for that throughout the years. But now that I've better understood like Rich and all his scandals, his potential scamming people, lying. I mean, there's an accusation that he tried to send you a computer with a rat on it to spy on you. Yep. That ended up at his past editor's house. And, like these are crazy, crazy allegations. So now that I know that context, every time he is sitting there reacting to DSP, what is he really doing? He knows that he's in trouble. He knows he's a lolcow. He knows he's a joke. So he's trying to punch down to get some favoritism. And that's why you've been the target of Rich for all these years. It's literally that simple. It's a deflection.
Yeah. All right. So what I like to do, I'd like to kind of open up with a question for you. That I think a lot of people they're wondering this too. How originally, like, what was your conception of me on the internet as a content creator? Like, I know probably you never had heard of me, and then all of a sudden you probably heard, oh, this guy's talking shit about you or whatever. And then somehow we ended up getting involved with each other, back and forth with a few spats. But I'm just curious as outsider, as a content creator, but not really knowing me, like, what was your conception of me? I heard some of this when you did your response to my response. You were talking about me. And I'm just curious, from you've been in the game a super long time. What is your conception of Dark Side Phil?
At first it was just he's an old school content creator, old school gamer, old school YouTuber that had the incident. Like that's it. That's all I knew, right? Um, and then when you called me out, I was like, "Hold up a minute. Let me like try to figure out who this guy is." And I'm just seeing all these detractor videos, right? So then I just kind of use that in my ammo of responding back. And so I felt like you are a person that is very common in our space, who's been on the platform forever. You love this stuff, you still do it, but you just don't adapt. You don't adapt as well as other YouTubers have, right?
Right.
So and Wings has the same issue. He just does the same thing over and over again because that's what he knows and that's what he loves. So that's pretty much how I even recently came to the conclusion that like, hey, Phil's having a moment right now, but he's going to be right back to where he was. But here's the thing, Phil, you having me on the show, the fact that I'm here right now is showing that you're actually trying to adapt. You're actually trying to do some different stuff. And then before I came on here, even though we agreed on it, I seen the Kino Casino stream with the guy from
Josh
what's his name?
Moon.
Josh. Yes.
Yep.
Where you got rid of Derek, which was one of those things that was a no-brainer, right? I understood you didn't want to open up Hell's Gate and have all your, supporters be investigated and whatnot, but that was a no-brainer. And the fact that you took that step and admitted that you play the game, the wrestling game and stuff, I'm like, okay, this guy is changing. He's actually adapting, and this is what he would need to do to maintain this high that's going on right now.
Right. Okay, that's cool because I'm just glad that I mean, it's crazy. To be honest with you, Keem, it's surreal for me. Like 10 years I've been in the trenches of just being shat on. And the fact that people for the first time in 10 years are now looking at me and saying, wow, this guy isn't actually kind of the perception that we had, because we're actually checking him out for the first time. We're liking his personality as he crosses over with other, people on the internet. We're liking the content he's putting out now with these crossover events and things. It's crazy to me to hear that from you, because never in my wildest dreams would I think I was going to have Keemstar on my little rinky-dink level 1 podcast, the name of which I got from an insult from you, by the way, which is hilarious. And that we would be having this conversation and you would say something like that. That's cool. I mean, and again, I thank you for being on. And in fact, this kind of leads us to the next question. Why did you accept my invite? Like, what is it that made you want to show up here today?
At the time when I insulted you and I was like, he's always going to be a loser, da 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 da. I really felt that way. It didn't mean a thing. The next morning I was driving to get coffee and I was so mad at myself. I'm like, bro, I'm being a bully. I'm shitting on this guy, having a moment. I think throughout my career, and I'm known as like this evil guy, but really if you dive deep, you'll see that I've lifted small content creators and YouTubers and tried to inspire them and get people motivated my entire career. So it kind of just went against everything. And I forgot the original question. What was the original question?
The original question is, why did you accept my invite to be on the show? Because it was shocking. I thought it might have just got us going back and forth a little bit more, but then you accepted, and I was like, wow, he's actually going to do it.
I think I would have accepted it at any time, even when we were really going at each other, right? I'm always down, and I try to keep myself available to big shows, small shows, whatever. I think it's important to just appear as many places as possible. And I think you should do the same. I think you should do as many collaborations as you possibly can. But this thing with Kino Casino giving you like this encouragement and whatnot, it just goes to show how important it is to just be nice every once in a while. Say nice things, because like that literally, that having someone behind you cheering you on and giving you that support, whether it was genuine or not, like maybe they just wanted you on the show. I don't know. Whether it was genuine or not, it has caused you to completely change. And I think the number one perception about you is this guy's stuck in his ways and he's never, ever going to change. He's never going to conform. He's stuck in his safe spot and he's not going to come out. And that's really all you need is you needed someone with some influence to just get behind you and say, Phil, come on, you can do this.
You're right. And when I was popular on YouTube back in the day, okay, I was a one man on an island. Like, I didn't do collabs, but I was still super popular. So I kind of got used to that. Like, I'm by myself. I make my own content. You're right. What happened in the last 10 years, things have completely changed on YouTube. It's about having that interaction, being a streamer, not a person just making on-demand videos, right? You have to have that human touch, that social aspect to your content. And I haven't had that at all. And now being given a chance, because it was a matter of, give me a chance to go on your show and show me who I really am, rather than let me go on your show and you interrogate me for 5 hours about all what the detractors say about me. But now we don't ever get to show any kind of intelligence or thought on anything else that might be entertaining to an audience. And that's what those guys did. They gave me a chance to weigh in on topics, to laugh at a few clips. And because of that, it humanized me and made people say, hey, he's not the devil. He's not some asshole. He's actually not that bad. And that was really cool of them to give me that chance, because things have now to kind of, giving me that momentum, that forward momentum. And I am hopefully planning on doing more stuff. Obviously, I don't want to give up on the stuff that I've done for 10 years that I love. I still want to play games, right? I still want to do stuff with my audience, my core audience. But yeah, you're right. It's all about adaptation. And again, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for now giving me a chance. Because now it's so crazy. And like within a few weeks, it's like Kino Casino, then the Review Tech React that he did with Kino Casino. Then he did an interview with Josh Moon. Now he's with Keemstar. What's next, right? It's like, what the hell's going to be the next big thing? I don't know yet, right?
I know what's next. I know what needs to happen. You need to have Sidescrollers on this show.
Have them as guests, so I get to do well. Okay, all right. I'll have to think about that.
Well, can I say something in their defense, right? There was the detractors were building this lore about you for a decade, right? When you went on there, they kind of had to hit you with everything, because if they didn't, it'd be like, I cannot believe you were the only guys that had access to DSP and you didn't ask him about this receipt. And you know what I mean? They kind of had to do that. And then also that stream had to happen to open the gateway to Kino Casino to be a more friendly environment, because all that other stuff was already covered, right? And all those hard questions have already been hit. So in a way, I feel like that was almost necessary.
Okay. And I actually agree with you, but I guarantee you've never actually heard what I actually have issue with. It's not the interview. I was totally okay with that interview. After the interview, I went on my own stream and I said, that went as well as I think it was going to go. I knew they were going to hit me with all those questions. I had given them permission beforehand to ask me all those questions. Okay. My issue with the Sidescrollers is that after that interview, they had said the next day they were going to do what they called a decompression stream. They were going to play Mario Kart or whatever, because they knew it was going to be so much drama. They just wanted to unplug from the drama for a day so that they could just kind of calm down and then get back to normal. The agreement was, after that interview, we were supposed to talk and they were supposed to have me on as a real guest. So what happened on Kino Casino was actually supposed to happen right after my Sidescrollers interview. What actually happened was they changed their schedule so that day after was a shit on Darkside Phil with his detractor session while we received donations to do it. And I was like, wait a minute, when did I agree to the shooting gallery? Like, that never happened. That's the equivalent of someone like Barbara Walters, a high-end, journalist, interviewing someone that's a hot topic, asking them tough questions. And then the next day she goes on a show and says, wow, that guy's a piece of shit. I didn't believe a single thing he said. And then, by the way, all the people that don't like that person are paying her money for sponsorships behind the scenes and shit for saying that stuff on this interview. So that's what I'm not cool with. And then I did talk to them after, and they were like, oh, no, we don't want you on the show anymore because we don't believe you. I was like, wait, what? Like, that wasn't the agreement. It was supposed to be.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Right in writing, they said, we don't trust you anymore. We just think you're a liar. This isn't kosher, so we don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. But now, listen to what happened after. My detractors gave them so much money for a couple of streams, they realized, ooh, this is the money train, right? They kept trying to get me on the show again after the fact, because they wanted the money train to continue. So now I'm like, no, fuck you guys, right? You treated me like dirt the next day. Then you canceled what we were supposed to do. I'm not going to give you any more time. This Stuttering Craig kept fucking talking about me on his show. He had a whole stream monetized the detractors where they came on his stream and gave him money to shit on me. And then he emailed me for months. Will you play Street Fighter 6 with me? Craig, you don't even fucking play fighting games. Why would I play Street Fighter 6 with you? I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Like, don't you get it? He was like so desperate for more attention for a series of months after. And then finally, I think he got the message, except I got another email for him back in February. Will you be on our 1-year anniversary show? No, Craig, I don't want to be on your fucking show. And that's the last time I heard from him. So that's the true story. I don't care about the interview. That was expected. It was the follow-up that was so poorly done. And think of it this way. That interview, if it was just done and then they moved on, people would watch that interview and be like, well, I'm going to judge for myself now whether things Phil said are legit or not. Maybe he's lying. Maybe he's telling the truth. And people would have their own, judgment. Instead, when they went on their show the next day and crapped on me all day, every single person who saw that interview is going to be like, well, if the interviewers don't believe him, we're not going to believe him either. So fuck them.
Right.
Right? And that's what happened.
I didn't know that. But also I can see them, like almost 99% of all YouTubers still doing the same thing Sidescrollers did, because they're just adapting. Okay, a lot of people hate DSP. Now let's bring his haters on. We're going to make more money. We're going to get more views. I mean, it's just, unfortunately, that's part of the beast with the business, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, moving on from the side-scroller thing now. I know people are going to want me to talk to you about this. I think it was inevitable, all right? The whole Lolcow Live podcast thing and what happened between us. I think it's time to hash it out and actually talk from our perspectives of what happened and figure out what really happened, because it seems like both of us remember our own perspectives, and that's the problem. You can only remember your own perspective, right? You can't see what actually happened on the other side. Most of the time, the reality is somewhere in the middle, correct? So what I want to say is, number one, my first question, why were you so dead set, and where did you come up with this idea that when you were formulating this Lolcow Live podcast, which now I believe is called, no, first it was the Lolcow podcast, and then it became Lolcow Live. Did you have a naming dispute or something stupid like that?
I'll get into that. Let me start at the very beginning, though.
Okay.
What inspired Lolcow Live is our Twitter battle back and forth, right? So the weird thing is me and that Twitter video where I'm saying you're still stuck on level 1 has not only named this show, but it also inspired Lolcow Live, because what happened is I'm like, okay, what about these guys like Wings, Boogie, and DSP that are kind of like stuck on level 1 and they can't get to the next spot? If they did a podcast together, it would be wildly successful. Everyone would tune in and they would be able to monetize their own F-ups or whatever, So I had this idea and I instantly started like tweeting you guys. Wings and Boogie were in right away. You were relatively difficult, right? And made me want to go through the email, which I'm like, why? Like, that makes no sense. Like, why do I have to email? We're already talking in Twitter DMs. Why don't we just get on the phone and talk about this right away? But I get it. I think part of the reason why you gave me so much pushback right off the gate is because we just got out of fighting. Why the hell would you trust me that I have good intentions, right out the gate like that?
Yeah. Here's the thing. And you said this earlier. Sometimes all you got to do is be nice to someone to get the reaction you want. And I'm the kind of person that I respond very, very negatively to, how can I say, negative stuff. So if you insult me, I'm going to have such a bad idea in my head about you that I'm not going to want to do anything with you. On the flip side of that, if you're nice to me, I tend to reciprocate. It's kind of like they say, treat others how you want to be treated, the golden rule.
Yeah.
And so if it had been more of you had approached me about this before our spat, I probably would have really seriously considered it. Do you want to know the truth? Dude, I was razzing you with the email thing. Obviously, I could have easily talked to you outside of the email, but it's like, this guy has been a dick to me, so I'm going to make him email me this shit in order to talk about, email, what the fuck, right? We could have easily DM'd on Twitter. It was the simplest thing, So I think, the thing is, I think you kind of get that. You've been in the game, you know about how this game is played, right? We're going back and forth a little bit. I made him email me and fuck around and shit. But now, the reality here is, when you did finally get in contact with me and we were trying to arrange this call, it really was, I gave you the times. I know it was kind of difficult, but I stream a ton. I stream 6 days a week, full fucking time. I know from your perspective, you're like, dude, this is a 50K opportunity and you should drop everything to talk to me. In my mind, that's not the kind of guy I am. I'm really not.
Yeah.
Like, I know the money can help, but I'm not like a strongly money motivated person. It's like, is there something I'm going to be interested in doing? Is there something my community is interested in doing? And I wasn't sold on the idea of being on a podcast that you were running because we had the bad blood. Even if it was a well-intentioned show, I wasn't convinced that it wasn't going to turn into somehow, let's rag on DSP, let's hate on DSP, let's trap DSP into doing something he doesn't want to do. And there's a difference between being a guest on a show or actually getting into a business arrangement where you must continue to do a show for a long period of time. And
Right.
that's what I really was very apprehensive about getting involved in. So, quite frankly, even if we had talked about it and the offer was formally made, I still don't know if I would have done it because, after 10 years again of being beat up by the internet, you always got to wonder and second guess every opportunity. Is it really a trap or not? Hell, when Kino Casino had me on, everyone thought it was going to be a trap. It was going to be, they're going to fuck this guy. And it ended up not being that, would that have been what that was? I don't know. Continuing on.
Well,
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have a background of having successful podcasts. I had Bait It, which was like the first one in commentary that inspired all these other podcasts. That was, I mean, some of the views over there, and this is back in 2016, we're pulling like millions of views per episode. And then I launched Mom's Basement, and we sold that to Spotify. It was a Spotify exclusive, did very well. So I know the podcast space really well, and I knew it enough that with you three, it would crush. And even with Wings and Boogie, it's doing very, very well. Some nights we've had like 20,000 concurrent viewers over there. Right now, we're averaging about 7,000 concurrent viewers, which is still amazing, right? It's insane. And it's helped Wings and Boogie so much. Wings finally has savings, and Boogie doesn't have to worry about his mortgage anymore, because that was like his biggest fear, is that he would lose his house.
Right.
And it's a lot of fun to do. So.
All right, and to clarify something that I've heard you say, or at least you hear shit through the grapevine. There's been this like misconception behind the scenes that apparently I was trying to plot with Boogie and Wings behind your back for us to do our own show and cut you out. And I would like to clarify that, because there's been so many people spinning it in negative ways, notably my detractors and shit, that I just want to let you know what really happened. And again, you don't have to believe me, but I'd like to tell you my perspective here.
Sure.
Is when Boogie said he had cancer for the first time, I swear to God, this is true. When he announced to the internet that he had cancer, what was it, like 2 years ago now or something like that? Maybe 3, I don't even know. I actually DM'd him on Twitter, and I wished him the best because I felt bad that I had heard this, and I knew his history or whatever. And we basically had like a conversation at the time, just back and forth, very cordial. And he had mentioned that he always wanted to do content with me. And I was like, why would Boogie want to do content with me? Again, I don't understand why anyone wants to do content with me. I think I'm the most boring, stupid dude, but apparently people, get some entertainment out of me. And so to me, I was like, I don't get it. So we talked a little more, and we kind of came up with this idea that maybe, we would actually do a podcast together. Not that it would be an ongoing thing, but maybe we do an episode or two and test the water. So that's actually, at that very moment when he announced he originally had cancer, was the moment we had that idea that perhaps we would do a show together. Now, I have no clue if at that time you were even talking to him about doing anything. I don't know if you even had the idea in your head yet, but that's where it started, okay? And then over the time frame of like the next year or two when all this was coming together, basically what happened was, I guess you were trying to get the show together. This is when we had our spat where you were going to offer me the 50K and it fell apart. And then you talked shit about me online about it and stuff like that. And he, even to my knowledge, I guess he was very angry with me, because he felt like I cost him $50,000 or whatever. And I got contacted by a third party that I guess is supposed to be like his lawyer or something, and said, hey, so Boogie and Wings are interested in doing a podcast with just you without Keem. I swear to God, this is what happened. I did not contact them. I was contacted by this third party guy saying this was the case. Now, I didn't believe it. I thought this is some fucker trying to catfish or something, right? So I went right to Boogie and I asked him, is it legit? He says, yes, this guy's legit. Trust him. I'm like, okay. So then I talked to this guy for a while, and the idea was that Boogie and Wings were going to do their boxing match for you. And when they were done and everything was cooling down, it would be a great thing to start a podcast with the three of us, because they had momentum on their side from this boxing match, right? And so I was in talks with this guy, working it out. He was basically going to arrange the streams. I was going to be kind of a host, and they were going to be out. We're working all the details out. We'll profit share all this shit, right? Who knows where it will go? And then all of a sudden, it gets announced that Wings and Boogie are doing your show instead of mine, and everyone's at my, like, Phil, what happened? I thought you were talking, you were going to be on a show with them or whatever. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I was, to my knowledge, this was probably going to happen, and now it's not, apparently, and everyone's dumping on me like I screwed up or something. Like, what did I do? I'm just talking to this guy who claims this is how it's all going to happen or whatever. I don't know who the guy is. I really don't. So I don't crap on him or anything, but go ahead.
So here's what really happened, right? I announced I want to do Lolcow Live. It's the greatest idea ever. It's going to be a wild success. The hosts are going to be DSP, Wings, Boogie. Me and you never come to agreement. It doesn't happen, right? So it sits dormant for like what, 6 months? Like
Yeah.
it sat dormant for a long time. And then I go and focus on this fight between Wings and Boogie. Well, while I'm building hype and working my ass off to make this is viral like it was, they had so much attention around him. This other guy swooped in named Games Attorney, right? Was that his name? Game Attorney or Games Attorney?
Yes.
One of these names, there's Game Attorney and Games Attorney. One of these names is legitimate and everyone knows them from back in the day in commentary because they worked with H3 and other people and are an actual attorney. And the other one literally just has a similar name. And the guy with the similar name is the guy that reaches out to Wings and Boogie who think he's legit. And they're like, okay, we'll do a podcast with you since it's not going to happen. And we'll keep Keem out of it and we'll get DSP. And so they start talking to you. Then I find out that they're doing this show without me. I'm like, oh, hell no. This is my idea. I'm doing it. So then they leave you and I kick out the Games Attorney guy. And that's why we had to change the name because it was the Lolcow podcast. He already went and built all the usernames all over online.
Oh,
so I was like, yeah.
Okay.
So it was like I had to kick this random guy out of the whole business transaction and then create new brand names and all that called Lolcow Live. Yeah. So that's what happened there.
All right. So just so you know, I wasn't trying to snake you, skunk you. I wasn't trying to do anything. Like I was barely involved. It was like other people were driving that boat and I just got pulled into it. And then I see people are saying, see, Darkside Phil was trying to steal the show from Keem. Like, what the fuck is going on here? It's always me, right? It's always me behind it.
You had Boogie and Wings in the middle that are like trying to get you involved, but also trying to get me involved, right? So they were playing both sides, really. And then when I found out what was going on, I was like, all right, the Game Attorney guy, he's gone. Like, get him out of here,
Right. All right. Now, to continue on talking about your current show, I think you probably have heard me be very critical of you and the kind of content that you've done over the years. You be forward with the audience here because maybe you guys have not heard me criticize Keem before. I'm the kind of guy that I want to be sure that the content that I'm making, at the end of the day, I can go to sleep in my bed, right? And not have like bad feelings about, man, what I just did today. Yeah, I made a lot of money. It was very popular, but man, I don't know if I could sleep at night because of what I just did. All right. And what I mean by that specifically is I want to be sure that the content that I make isn't hurting others, right? When I'm doing gameplay, when I'm doing my podcast, when these appearances that I'm doing on other shows, these are not harmful. These are fun. They're silly. People get a chuckle out of it, but it's not like, oh, I bullied someone or I hurt someone or something like that. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you, Keem. I've seen a lot of the drama alert stuff you've done over the years. I've seen some of this, and I do feel like some of the content, not all of it, that's for sure, because some of the stuff you've done has been very productive and actually has helped a lot. I've seen times where you interjected yourself into a situation like that guy who was swatting people, and you actually, I believe you got his information and reported him to the police. That's a direct example of how you actually stopped something that could have gotten worse and worse and worse. And that's to be applauded and commended, all right? But at the same time, I've definitely seen examples of drama that's been exacerbated or exaggerated or really hammed up on your content. I'm not a fan of that, but that's a morality thing with me. That's my own personal code. That's where I grew up, how my upbringing. I would not want to make bullying style content like that. And you might even disagree that it's bullying, and that's fine. I'm going to give you the opportunity to counter this. But for me, I would feel bad if I made that kind of content. Okay. Now, with Lolcow Live, when you were approaching me with this idea for a show, the whole idea that the name of the show is Lolcow, that's a negative term. It really is. And I'm thinking, so the whole idea behind the show is bullying. You're going to bully me and Wings and Boogie, and we're going to have to do stunts, or we're going to have to do dumb shit. That's the last thing that I want to be involved in. Even if there's money involved, and I'm going to make a big 50K bonus, and then after that, if the show blows up, I make even more. To me, I would rather distance myself from that than take the bag, as they say. And that's my philosophy. And so I want you to understand, I know that you're a businessman who makes tons of money, but that's not what it was about for me. It's a morality thing. So what is your take on the kind of content you make, this Lolcow live show, what is your perspective on that? Because I think a lot of people would like to hear it from your mouth, why you feel the content you make is good content, is safe content, is not harmful content, because this is the conception I hear from a lot of people, that you're a misery broker and stuff like that. So what do you have to say about that?
I mean, I don't agree with that assessment. The majority of Drama Alert content is informing the public on the T, right? This person's fighting with this person. This is what was said. That was what was said in response. And every once in a while, I give my opinion, like yikes or wow, I think this person's wrong or whatnot. That's the majority of the content. Now, sometimes, I really want to get an opinion out there because it either affects me personally, like this Duty situation, right? I was insulted listening to Duty say that he's a content creator. I'm like, bro, I've been doing this for 15 years. You clip, fill, and upload it. You're not a content creator. You know what I mean? So like sometimes
we're busting our asses to make content every day, and this fucker is just stealing us and then making money on our backs, and we're supposed to be okay with that, right? Like, I'll just let him do whatever he wants. No, that's like insulting.
It was so insulting, and it seems like such a petty thing. I'm sure from the audience for me to get triggered by, but I was like, stop calling yourself that. This is bullshit. So like sometimes, when I have a strong opinion, I share it, but I'm not really in the business of bullying, but I'm sure I come across that way to you because the incident, right? We cover on Drama Alert. The result of that is you getting bullied, right? Obviously. You did talk smack about me and you had this opinion of me, and then I fire back, and the result of that was probably bullying, right? I am engaged in like a lot of fights with other content creators and arguments back and forth and debates. That probably comes across like bullying. I mean, even the conversation I just had with Duty, right? Here I am, KEEMSTAR, and he's like this little clip channel, or if you will, right? That probably to some people comes across as bullying, when really I was just trying to educate him. But I don't think I'm a bully, and I also think like the internet like picks on me and roasts me and bullies the ever living crap out of me on every single day. So it's not like some people truly have armies, right? They have like a huge fan base, and if they say this person bad, thousands go attack them, right? I don't really have that. I've never had that. Like, I don't have like hardcore supporters like that will just agree with everything I say and just go attack someone. In fact, most of the time, my viewers are like, no, Keem's wrong, and this is why, So I just don't agree with that assessment, Phil.
I will say this, even though maybe morally I don't agree with you on that, I do think some of the stuff you have done has been bullying, and I think it's okay. We can agree to disagree on that, right? We don't have to hate each other because of that thing.
Right.
The far worse scenario here is not you. You are not this giant devil villain of YouTube. The people who really are the worst are detractor, crazy, insane people who do things like they formulate cultish groups that hate people and will do the bad things, right? I think the one time you ever got called out for the big time was when you accidentally misidentified someone who was a streamer, as I think as a pedophile, and you publicly apologized for it. You exposed your mistake. I remember that whole arc, right?
Oh, yeah.
These detractors will never admit a mistake. They literally will always say the worst thing about the person, and then they will never correct themselves. They're always, they don't even care if it causes personal harm. They'll clip your shit. They'll insult you. They'll insult your family. They'll bring in every possible personal fucking thing into the situation to make you look like a villain or a devil when none of it's fucking true. And it's like, I understand why people would be upset with some of the content you've made, but I don't think that someone like you is like the end-all be-all bad person on YouTube. I think it's these detractor communities that need to be analyzed, and I've actually said this in the last couple of weeks. Everyone wants to do documentary on Darkside Phil, right? No, you want to know what the best documentary ever would literally be? The documentary on the Darkside Phil detractors. To actually rip into them. Who are they? Why do they fucking behave like this? How'd the cult form? Wouldn't that be more fascinating than just ragging on me for the same shit for 10 years?
We just dealt with this situation on Lolcow Live, and it was Wings' detractors, right? So one of the main points of the show is we bring the detractor on to like either confront Boogie or confront Wings. And there was this guy, 007, who hates Wings and is trying to put this message out that Wings is like a danger to children. He's a pedo, right?
Wow.
So we have him on to make all his points, and 100% Wings said horrible, questionable stuff in the past, like trying to be funny, trying to be a
Right.
shock jock.
Shock jock.
But Wings just destroyed this guy. Like when they had this talk back and forth, you could clearly tell that Wings 007 had this parasocial relationship with Wings. He was obsessed with him. He was stalking him. He was following everything he was doing, and he was trying to push narratives that just weren't based in reality. And, you know, I think we had like something like 5,000 concurrent viewers that night. This is a while ago before the show really popped off. And the audience, I did a poll, the audience overwhelmingly were on Wings' side. And they said, this guy is legitimately crazy. He is way bigger of a loser than Wings of Redemption. So I think you are right in that assessment, right? That some of the people that harass you and are obsessed with you, if someone were to examine them and what they do on a daily basis, they would come to the same conclusion. Like, this individual is more of a loser than Phil.
Right. Okay. All right. Still on the topic of Lolcow Live. I think people would probably roast me so bad if I did not bring up a certain point, a little thing of contention that we've had a little spat about recently. Even you publicly threatening me again on one of your Twitter accounts, which is how we tend to go back and forth a lot of the time. So recently on one of my shows, I made a comment that Lolcow Live is scripted. All right.
Mhm.
Admittedly, when I made that comment, I did not say it is my opinion that Lolcow Live is scripted. I said Lolcow Live is scripted, right? You would think that people would have common sense to understand that when someone says something like that on the internet, it's their opinion. However, I sometimes forget that a lot of people on the internet are incredibly fucking stupid and will take everything as fact for no good reason. So, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have said it in a way. I should have prefaced it and said, my opinion is Lolcow Live is scripted. Okay. You then went on a tweet and actually threatened legal litigation against me for saying that. So I said, fair enough. This guy actually has a point. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a disclaimer on the videos from now on saying that my podcast is my opinion. That way it covers all bases, right? In reality, let's be honest. You were not going to sue me. You were making a point. The point was valid, but that's the way you go about it. And I know that. That's why I'm not going to get ultra pissed about it.
Well, I was trolling you a little bit, like you were trolling me and making me email you. Like I heard the clip, right? And you're like, no, it's 100% scripted. It's 100%. I'm like, it's kind of defamation because it's okay for you to have that opinion, but you can't say for a fact it's scripted, right? So I put out that tweet and Turkey Tom called it out right away. He was like, bro, you're not suing DSP. Let's be real. But then when you made the update, I was like, all right. You know, I was glad that you put that little disclaimer there that was your opinion, and I just deleted the tweet.
Right. But now, go ahead.
But to tell you, it's not scripted. It really isn't scripted. I know it's insane. I know it's absolutely insane when you watch our show, and you would think, anyone would think, okay, there's no way this is real. But Boogie is insane. Like, he's a crazy person. Wings is a crazy person. You are a character, right? Like, you know,
you could say I'm a crazy person if you want. It's okay. You don't have to sugarcoat it.
Well, some people would say that you're crazy, right? But the reason why the three of you are so popular in these big, like, exposed documentaries from the commentary community is because you're characters. You're truly entertaining. Maybe not in the way where you have like 10,000 concurrent viewers and you have 1 million subscribers, but there is so much value that you guys have, but you're not self-aware of that value, right? But other people that watch you are, and that's why you get clipped, and that's why you're in this documentary. Like, I'm able to look at Wings and Boogie and yourselves and see the value, and that's why I was like, bro, a show, Lolcow Live, it would crush, right? We just had Kino Casino the other day, right? Who saw the value in the DSP interview, right? They saw the value. They understand it, right? Not everyone does. And I think that's something that you really have to be aware of, is that you might not be seeing that return on your individual channel, but you do have value. And there are so many big YouTubers and content creators that would want to collaborate with you. I'm sure there's someone out there with 1 million subscribers that does cooking. If DSP goes over to their house and does cooking with them, right? And we get to see DSP like in a different, in an IRL like vlog type style video. It's gonna pop off. Everyone's gonna talk about it. It's gonna be clipped. There is value there that's untapped, you know?
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. That's actually very kind comments there. I want to get back to the whole scripted thing. Okay. I'm gonna press you a little bit. Don't get upset. Okay.
I'm ready for it.
You gotta promise. All right. You recently have had Boogie on the side of a highway, picking up trash, taking his shirt off, which you told him to do, and then he picked up a bottle, right? And in that bottle supposedly was a mystery liquid that no one knew what it was, and of course it's piss. And you said if you drink the piss, you can stop doing this right now and you can go home, right? Or maybe you could cut time off of doing it, or something like that.
Right.
And he did it. He literally did it. He pulled out his bottle and he drank it. And that's the money shot. That's what everyone was, oh my God, I can't believe Boogie drank piss. He's so down, blah, blah, blah. Are you honestly going to tell me right now that Boogie drank piss on Lolcow Live?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's piss, right? But it's more funny to call it piss than old Kool-Aid or whatever the fuck was in the bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, the whole idea of whether or not it was piss or not, no one really knows, right? But I think somebody found the original bottle of that drink and it was orange to begin with, so it probably wasn't piss. Yeah. What I will say is this. Boogie shouldn't have a career. He shouldn't at all. Like, what he did was horrible. All right. So I understand me making him pick trash seems like I'm a bully or whatever, but it's really not. Like, Boogie's got to do even more crazy stuff for our entertainment. He faked cancer. Okay, that is so huge. Phil, that is so bad. Is there anything that you've ever done in your career, any mistake you've ever made that even remotely comes close to that?
Of course not.
Yeah, it's like, that's insane. So, you know, unfortunately.
So, okay. With that situation, though, like him going to the highway, him doing that, that's something that you planned, you instituted, and it wasn't like one day Boogie wakes up and he goes, well, I need content for the show. I'm just going to go pick up trash at the side of the highway, right? So you scripted the event, correct?
Well, 3 days before this takes place, right? I tell the audience, all right, we're going to make him do community service. And then I call Boogie and I say, in 3 days, we're going live and you need to go find trash to pick up on the side of the highway. I mean, that's the script. The script is Boogie is going to pick up trash, you know? So it's like, is it fair to say that that's scripted? You know what I mean? I'm sure you make plans to play certain video games on your stream, right? Is the stream scripted because you made the plan to play that actual video game? You know what I mean?
Yes, it is. That's actually exactly what that means. It means that it's scripted, that I have a script for what I'm going to do on that stream. That's actually the definition of what it means. You have a plan in place. That's a script that you're going to follow to institute that plan for a piece of content. So I understand what you're saying. You're not saying it's fully scripted. It has improv stuff that's happening naturally, and that's where the entertainment value is, correct?
I'm so shocked at that response, right? Because there is no script. Yes, you're planning to play that game, but you're live, all right? You're reacting to things on the fly. There isn't a script that you're sticking to. Like, new thoughts are coming in your head, and you're saying them. You're not reciting lines on that stream, right? The only script here is Boogie will pick up trash for 2 hours, community service. That's it, you know? And everything else is not scripted. You know, there was nobody planted the bottle. He just so happened to find a bottle, and he said, oh, look, somebody peed in a bottle. And then right away, I'm like, you need to drink that if you want to quit early. Like that, there was no plan for that. It just happened, you know?
Right. How about earlier this year when you had your hosts essentially in a rotation saying, I'm going to quit, now I'm back, I'm going to quit, now I'm back. Are you saying that that's all legit? That was legit stuff? It wasn't talked about behind the scenes? It wasn't like, oh, we'll emphasize this and, you know, exaggerate it for drama purposes?
Right before the cancer thing, I went live and I just tore Boogie a new one and Wings a new one and Tommy C a new one. And they didn't know I was doing that. There's so many times where I just hate this show. They're so impossible to deal with. They're so impossible to work with. I got Boogie going around telling CoffeeZilla that he doesn't get paid from the show.
I heard
when
that.
really the show is paying his mortgage. I'm pissed. I am pissed. Bro, I work so hard to get this thing working, Phil, for them, and they're getting checks off of it. And then they'll go and carelessly say something to another content creator that they're not getting paid from the show. Like, I was super offended. I'm not doing this anymore. But then what happens next is Destiny reaches out to me and he wants to confront Boogie. Now, I know this is going to be amazing content. So I go and tell those guys, hey, I want you to do a reaction stream to the stream that I just did where I was saying I was quitting. And they're like, okay, we'll do one. I go, say whatever you want. I won't get mad, right? And, you know, so they do it and they start responding. And then I just jumped in with Destiny. They had no idea that I was bringing Destiny on. Destiny hits them. And now it's like, yes, I just got done saying I'm quitting, but we are on this content that if I don't take advantage of right now, it's a part of the adapting thing, Phil, that I'm telling you about. Right? If I don't jump on this right now, this would be the biggest mistake ever. So then I stick with the show, and then things happen with Tommy. And, you know, there were times when Wings wanted to quit the show. He truly wanted to quit the show. You know, none of that stuff is planned. It's just, we're all a little bit crazy. We're all characters. You know, we all react like that to anything, you know?
Okay, so you are making a public statement. All that stuff is real. That's not any scripted bullshit where you've planned it ahead of time. It's just stuff that actually happens on your show. Because the conception is, from the outside, it looks like it's fake. It really does. It looks like it's a reality TV show that you scripted kind of in advance and let play out. But it totally looks like when Wings is quitting, and now Tommy's quitting, and this guy's quitting. Like, that's a shtick you do every once in a while because you need more content. It doesn't seem legit as an outside viewer, just to let you know.
If you were to listen to all our private conversations, it's the same thing in private that like never hits the air. It's like, it just, there's constant like, hey, are we going live now? And then someone ignores and doesn't respond for like 10 hours. And it's like, bro, do you know how much money the show is making? Yo, you need to, and there's conflict behind the scenes the entire time. Just the other day. Okay. Here's a good example. Just the other day, Kino Casino was trying to get Wings Redemption to play video games with you.
I was going to ask you about this, so I'm glad we're getting to it now. Good.
So PPP DMs Wings, hey, come play video games with me and Phil. Wings responds to PPP and says, no, I don't want it to mess with my money. Keem's holding a grudge against PPP or against Kino Casino. Now, why wouldn't Wings just talk to me and ask me if that's cool or have a conversation or better understand? Why is he speaking for me?
He made an assumption, a bad assumption, and now it looks bad on you because he made a bad assumption.
So now I got Kino Casino over here spreading this, you know, propaganda that Keem's garnishing Wings' wages and like all this stuff. When it's not true. And he made that assumption based on me telling Wings like maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, stop plugging Kino Casino, because they were also saying the show is fake, and the show is not fake. It's not scripted, right? And I've always liked their show. We've shouted them out, but it came to a point where they were saying so much negative stuff that we can't really plug them anymore. I'm not going to shout them out if they're saying negative stuff. So Wings took that and ran with it where there was a grudge. So, you know, I had all these problems because of Wings, and, you know, we get on the phone and I'm like, Wings, listen, this is a good opportunity for Lolcow Live, for yourself, for Phil, for Kino Casino. Do the collab. Okay, I'll do it. Was he there? No, he had to go take a fucking nap. So it's like, this shit doesn't like, it seems like somebody wrote that story that I just told you.
Yeah, it does. Right.
But it's true. Like, that's what really happened, right? That's what it's like dealing with these guys.
The thing is, knowing a little bit of Wings' history, I actually do believe you on this story, because he's had a track record of saying he was going to do something and then backing out at the last minute over and over and over. So because of that, I believe you. I will give you the benefit of the doubt on that story. I do think it was on him. And yeah, I think that he did spin you in a bad light there. Thank God it got squashed before anything too bad happened. And now you have another war between two groups for no good reason. I think that was handled well, actually. So,
Phil, listen, I'm on the phone with Wings screaming at him, don't fucking speak for me ever again. Dude, stop saying shit that I'm not saying. Dude, I'm fucking mad at him. And he goes, well, Keem, I just think it would be a good idea if you let me play. I'm like, you should play. I never said you couldn't. And so me and Wings squash it. He's going to play with you that night. And after all that, after this big fight, this big feud of like 20 minutes of Mean Wings going back and forth in private, he doesn't show up, right? You can't write that script.
Yeah.
You can't. This is reality of working with them, you know?
Wow. And to be honest with you, I almost feel like I made the right decision, because if I was on that show with those guys and we were going through this shit every day, it'd be like, I don't think I could stand it, man. I'm 42 years old. I'm fucking getting older. I don't have time for this bullshit. It's like, it's time to work. No, we can't work because they're fucking around today. Like, no, fuck this. They kick them off the show. I'll just fucking do it myself. That's my attitude. So I got to give you some props there too. All right. So now we've been going for an hour. All right. I want to give you an opportunity. You have any questions you would like to ask me at all about anything? And I'm going to be honest with you. There's certain things I'm not going to talk about, like fucking finances and shit. But if you have any stuff you want to ask me, I want to give you a forum here to do that as well. It was not supposed to be just me interrogating you. And, and then probably, I told my viewers we probably end, I don't know how long you have, but we probably end it by like 1 p.m. So that way I'm respecting your time too. But I want to give you a forum here. Is there anything that you would like to talk about?
We can end it relatively soon. And I don't really have questions. I more just have advice. All right.
Sure.
Do not let this opportunity slip. All right. When you get 10, 15 people saying Phil is king, right? It could be 20,000 people. It could be 100,000 people. It doesn't need to stop. In order to build on this, it's just collaborations after collaborations after collaborations, right? I think you hit the nail on the head having me on first, because we've had so much of a heated argument. People are going to tune in and see this. There's 2,600 people here right now. Like, that's an insane number, right?
For me.
I wouldn't, I feel like over the last decade, you've kind of reverted to like a safe place because you had to, right? It's a defensive mechanism. Like, you go out, you collaborate with people, or you start talking to more people, and you get treated unfairly. So fuck that. Like, you end up turning into a control freak, and it's just your channel, just your viewers, just people that agree with you. And I think that's a natural thing that happens. I don't think that you went out of your way to be this weird control freak, right? I think it happened out of a sense of being on the defense all the time, right?
Right. That's exactly what happened. And the times I did try, because you probably don't know this, there was a couple times I did try to do collabs with other streamers. My detractors would go to their fucking streams and harass the shit out of them and their fan bases. And those people had to cancel because they're like, I'm sorry, we can't have our businesses ruined because your detractors are fucking unhinged. So I didn't have that opportunity to do those kind of crossovers, which would have benefited me.
And so now that it's like the doors open a little bit and you can see the outer world, I go right through it. Yes, not everything's going to be a win. Not everything's going to be successful. But you have to just keep collaborating. You have to just keep changing it up, doing bigger things. You constantly need to think about, like, what does not just my hardcore fans want, but the people that are interested in me want. And some of those are haters. What do they want? Like, I keep bringing up you having a conversation with Sidescrollers. I think that's huge. I think everybody tunes in. I think the Kino guys promote it. They review it. I'm going to be interested in it. I think Lolcow Live tunes in and reviews it to see how that conversation goes. You just got to keep doing risky stuff and not necessarily be in that safe bubble anymore. Now you just got to go.
I appreciate that advice. I agree with you, but I do want to say this to my viewers as well. Many people have been along for this crazy ride with me since the beginning. The only reason I'm still here today, and even we're having this conversation, the reason that I had an audience to be notable to be on Kino Casino is because I have a hardcore fan base that stuck with me through thick and thin, and I want them to know that I'm not going to abandon you. Just because I'm doing new content like this doesn't mean you're not going to get to see me play the hot new games. You're not going to get to see me do my normal social streams where I talk with you guys. It's still going to happen. Because a lot of people are afraid. Well, Phil's changing. Well, people are afraid of change, right? And I get that. They go, oh, Phil's just going to do this collab shit now. No, it's going to be a part of everything that I do. So I completely agree with your advice. Things have changed. I need to change, or else I'm just going to be this little rinky-dink guy making content for 500 people on his channel forever. Obviously, I don't want to be stuck or pigeonholed into that kind of, I want to be able to do cool things. I'd love to do collab streams with different people, talk about different topics, not just be known as the asshole everyone shits on. So this is great. Thank you for coming on the show. But I have one final question for you, man, before I let you go. This is an important one, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Is your beard real?
Yeah, it's real, but it's dyed. It's dyed because
Oh my God, he admits it's dyed. I can't believe he would say that on the show.
Yeah, because we're the same age, right? You know, my beard would be fully gray, right?
Yeah. Look at me. People used to say to me, Phil, your beard is patchy. I was like, do you not understand what age is, you idiot? My beard is getting white. I'm older now. It's not that I have holes in it. I'm fucking old, dude. Like, people age and people choose to do things differently. I said, I'm not going to cover nothing up. I know I'm losing my hair. I'm not going to fucking shave my head or wear a hat. I'm just going to let it look. And so people criticize my looks. They're constantly on you because you grow the beard out, you dye it. It's your thing, though. It's your trait. It's the thing that's notable about you. When you think Keemstar, you think the beard, right?
The black beard. And that's why I dye it. And, you know, the same thing with the hat. I always wore hats. Like, you know, over the last couple of years, I've been wearing like bandanas and whatnot. And just because they're more comfortable. But I really shouldn't. I should always have a hat on. It should be relatively a black hat. And I should always have a black beard. That's my look. That's how I'm recognized throughout the world, you know. It's part of my costume, if you will, for online.
Okay. Any final thoughts or anything before we adjourn here?
Dude, you know who you really should talk to?
Ooh,
Review Tech USA.
Oh man.
Oh, I would love that conversation.
Come on. But I mean, I'm holding his final chip.
I would love it.
I don't want to have to take this away. I have a final chip with this guy. I mean, he might be completely felted if we do that. I might actually like lose his final chip. I don't know if I want to do that to him. You know what it is with me? Like, I just did a fucking 4-hour show on the guy, right? I ragged on him. I destroyed him. And it's like, to me, I've been there. I've been the subject of that kind of shit so much that it's like, I know that hurt him. After 10 years of abuse he gave me, I finally gave it back to him. And it's like, I kind of said my piece, and yes, I'll reference him in my content and joke a little bit, but I don't know how it's going to benefit him. I mean, he probably would think it would benefit him, but also, I mean, let's be honest here, Keem, has you seen him recently? Like, he's barely coherent when he's even on a stream. As I don't even know how I could do a stream with this guy, because he's popping edibles and shit. And this is not me making fun of him. He's doing it publicly. This is not, oh, I'm trying to talk shit about the guy. I don't even know how I could have a conversation with him without him, like, trailing off and his eyes closing, and then, you know. So maybe, all right, a good suggestion. I will take your suggestions to heart. And I want to thank you for coming on the show, being the first guest on the Level 1 podcast. I'm not shitting you. I didn't have anything working like this until today. Like, I never would have been able to have a guest on the show. I never used Discord like this before or anything. So this is all a first-time thing for me, and I think it went well. Everyone in the chat seems to have loved it. They said everything went well, and, you know, they liked the questions I asked, and we had the conversations they wanted. So I guess it worked out. And let me put it this way. I wish you well with the Lolcow Live. I do. Just understand that it's a morality thing for me. For me, like a show about it's Lolcows. Let's make him do this. And it's degrading shit. That's something that I could not be involved in. But that's me. And your content and your guys who are in there, if you're okay with it, then so be it. Content exists for a reason and variety exists for a reason, right? And that's okay to have options.
Well, let me leave with this. Lolcow Live is more than just like, you know, picking on them or whatever. It's really a redemption show. Like, Wings has gotten so much respect from being on the show. Boogie, the complete opposite. He faked cancer. Like, there's no beating that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no beating that hurdle, right? But hey, Phil, thank you so much for having me on. Thank you for treating me with respect and all that, and having the convo that you told me we would have. So I appreciate it, man.
All right. Wish you well, sir. Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. Well, hey, what happened? So if you enjoyed that, please leave a comment on the video. The chat enjoyed it. Please leave a comment on the video. Let me know what you think. All right. And I would love suggestions for collabs and stuff. Of course, you have to understand that not everyone's going to want to do shit with me just because I had Keemstar on my show. But I definitely like to hear what you guys thought. All right. Now, if you enjoyed that, I'm going to do a follow-up video right now and a follow-up stream where I'm going to talk with my audience. We're going to decompress. I'm going to do shout-outs because, as you saw, there were no contributions or nothing. We're going to do all that right now. So that way, you know, it's fair for the audience. I'm not going to shut them out. But thanks for everyone here being respectful. The chat actually was quite under control. I hope everyone out there who watched this on demand enjoyed it. And again, suggestions for the future. I am open to them. I would love to hear them. But thank you for watching this very special edition of the Level 1 podcast featuring Keemstar. Peace out.